Hello and welcome to gusmcdollgames, and thank you to our subscribers. I'm Nick McDowell, and today we're continuing the Allied Grand Campaign in Close Combat: A Bridge Too Far, a game based on the Battle of Arnhem, Operation Marketgarden. In this series we use the missions in the Allied Grand Campaign to illustrate one or more aspects of World War II infantry minor tactics at the company level and below. Each episode we conduct basic mission analysis, develop and analyse possible courses of action, then decide and execute the plan in real time, followed by lessons learned. Please remember to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content, and if you want to buy me a coffee, the links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. In episode 21, 1300 hours on 18 September 1944, we fought a delaying action at the Groesbeek landing zone. My troops tenaciously held onto a small piece of terrain behind a tree line and fought the Germans to a ceasefire. However, the Germans had all the advantages of terrain and firepower, and there did not appear to be any reason for them to accept a ceasefire. Ceasefire seemed more like the logical outcome of game mechanics than the logical outcome of the battle. I decided that next battle I would withdraw from the indefensible landing zone to ground of my choosing, actually defeat the Germans, and then push them back off the landing zone. So, this is what happened on Day 3 of Operation Marketgarden, 0600 hours on 19 September 1944. The Germans probed forward with an Aufklärer and a Flammenwerfer squad, and then an MG-42. At first, the Americans mount a successful defence, putting heavy fire on anything moving through the tree line. But then, a Panther tank assaults forward with a Mark IV Panzer providing fire support from a flank. My troops fire a smoke barrage, and the Panther breaks through the tree line. With German Sturmgrenadier infantry moving into the assault, the American airborne troops withdraw under pressure. The bazooka teams make valiant attempts to knock out the tanks, but without success. The Americans took 10 KIA, the Germans took 8 KIA. Now it is time to fight on ground of my choosing. In this episode we are still in the Nijmegen sector, the Groesbeek farmland area of operations. Our objective is the Groesbeek Heights. It is Day 3 of Operation Marketgarden, 0000 hours on 19 September 1944. Groesbeek farmland. Securing this area is key to the defence of the high ground around Groesbeek. Quick attacks and a wise defence will carry the day. A strong anti-tank defence will come in very handy here. Indeed. Let's examine our forces. Glider assault teams are the shock troops of the American Army. They use submachine guns, semi-automatic rifles, automatic rifles, hand grenades and demolition charges. Use them to assault German strongholds. Airborne BAR teams are the core of the American Airborne Divisions. They use an automatic rifle, semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a carbine. Use them on the front line, but they should run or hide from tanks. Airborne rifle teams use semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a carbine. Use them on the front lines and to hold victory locations. They are useless against tanks. Airborne bazooka teams consist of an anti-tank rocket launcher, a semi-automatic rifle and hand grenades. Not as effective as the Panzerschreck, the bazooka still gives you cheap anti-tank capabilities. The bazooka's effective range is 8 to 80 metres. The Airborne 57mm anti-tank gun is a light anti-tank gun. The team also contains rifles and grenades. It is best used as an anti-tank weapon, but it is also effective against infantry targets. Its high rate of fire makes up for its low armour penetration. Airborne 60mm light mortar teams also contain semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. Because mortars can shoot over obstacles, position these teams behind buildings or trees. Use them to lay smoke screens. Airborne 30 caliber light machine gun teams include semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. Position these teams in multi-story buildings or locations with long lines of sight so they can suppress enemy infantry. 30 caliber medium machine gun teams include semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. Position these teams in multi-story buildings or locations with long lines of sight so they can suppress enemy infantry while your units maneuver. Now let's look at the map and do some mission analysis. I will develop a plan and then execute it in the game. Our mission is to ambush the German armoured counterattack from the Reichswald towards Nijmegen in order to secure supply to the Nijmegen sector. We have an airborne infantry company from the US 82nd Airborne Division consisting of 3 BAR squads, 2 rifle squads, 2 bazooka teams and 2 glider assault squads attached, with 2 60mm mortar detachments, 2 30 caliber machine gun teams and 2 airborne 57mm anti-tank guns in support. North is towards the bottom of the map and east is left of the map. This is a large map, so I have divided it into 3 belts, A, B and C. I will give the ground brief from left to right. In Belt A, number 1 is farmland that offers some concealment to infantry and is adjacent to the road to the Groesbeek landing zone. Number 2 is an open area with little cover or concealment but suitable for vehicle movement. Number 3 is a long stone wall leading up to the farmhouse. Number 4 is the 2-storey farmhouse with excellent observation to the east and south and a trench line dug in front. Number 5 is farmland offering no cover but some concealment to infantry and partially obstructing fields of fire, perhaps providing an avenue of approach for infantry. In Belt B, number 6 is an area of open fields bounded by a stone wall with a trench line. The trench and walls offer concealment and some cover against direct fire. Number 7 is a lightly wooded area. The wooden single-storey building to the south overlooks the road and may be a good ambush point for vehicles moving along the road. The wooden single-storey building to the north, in the middle of the map, has excellent observation and fields of fire across the open field and down the laneway adjacent to the farmhouse. Number 8, low stone walls bounding an orchard and dam provide cover and concealment and a possible natural line of resistance, as well as an obstacle to vehicle movement. There is also a wooden building just to the west, with good observation and fields of fire. In Belt C, number 9 is an area of light woods either side of a road leading away from the Groesbeek landing zone. This provides concealment and some cover and might be good for ambushes. Number 10 is an open field bounded by light woods, a natural engagement area and thus an obstacle to movement. And number 11 is a ruined building on the tree line with good observation and fields of fire over most of Belt B and the approach to Belt C. A track leads from this area away from the landing zone. I assess the enemy will seek to clear my forces from this area in order to move towards Nijmegen and prevent 30 Corps crossing the bridge over the Waal Canal. From my battles yesterday and this morning, I know they have a strong force of armour and infantry. I can expect a Panther tank, a Mark IV Panzer and perhaps support vehicles with mortars and machine guns. I can also expect multiple Sturmgrenadier, Schützen and other infantry squads. The enemy's most likely course of action is a strong infantry thrust towards the 2-storey farmhouse building, with the armoured vehicles in attack by fire positions on the flank. The farmhouse would become the focal point of the battle. Once taken, the Germans would continue to advance either northwest or southwest. The enemy's most dangerous course of action is for their armour to keep its distance in attack by fire positions and pin my forces down. Meanwhile, the infantry would advance across the farmland to the south under cover of smoke and entirely outflank the position. Once the enemy control the lightly wooded area, they control the whole map. Any troops around the farmhouse would be cut off, and the Germans could control movement, dislocate my forces, and choose their next axis of attack. My main effort is the destruction of the enemy armour, as this will set the conditions for my counterattack to retake the landing zone later in the day. So my priority is to select engagement areas and place my anti-armour assets, then build the defensive position around that. I could fight this battle in any of the 3 belts. My first course of action is to place my troops in Belt C, with the primary engagement area being the open ground in front of the ruins and a secondary engagement area along the road to the south. The advantage of this course of action is that it forces the Germans to deploy and reveal their dispositions before battle is joined, and potentially divides their forces. The stone walls and wooded terrain could also dislocate the infantry from their armour, making it easier to eliminate both. The disadvantage is that I have nowhere on this map to fall back if the Germans knock out my anti-tank guns. Also, my forces are divided and cannot easily provide mutual support. But this plan is otherwise doctrinally sound, with the anti-tank guns in depth positions screened by infantry. My second course of action is to fight in Belt B, with the primary engagement area being the open ground between the farm buildings and a secondary engagement area along the same road to the south. I would also place bazooka teams in ambush positions to the rear in case the armour breaks through. The advantage is that once again it forces the Germans to deploy and reveal their dispositions before battle is joined. Also, the stone walls and light woods probably restrict and canalise vehicle movement into predictable engagement areas. And it gives me a fallback position in Belt C if the first line of defence is overrun. The disadvantage is that the wooded areas and buildings could allow enemy infantry to get uncomfortably close to the guns before they eliminate the enemy armour. Also, giving the 2-storey building to the enemy gives them uncontested overwatch of my defensive positions, and my left flank is exposed to armoured attack. But again, this plan is otherwise doctrinally sound with the anti-tank guns in depth positions screened by infantry. My third course of action is perhaps an obvious one, to fight the battle in Belt A. I will cover the main battle position in Belt B with an outpost centred on the farm buildings. The outpost will be strong in machine guns and provided with anti-tank weapons. I expect the enemy armour to deploy into the open field and I will engage them there. I will place an anti-tank gun in the farmhouse building to fire into the primary engagement area. A second anti-tank gun will be in depth with fields of fire over the open field and down the laneway. This is an aggressive placement designed to defeat enemy armour in the first moments of battle and away from the main battle position. The guns are exposed, and I will screen them from infantry attack with both squads of the glider assault infantry and the medium machine gun in the outpost. First and second platoons will form the main battle position, using the woods and stone walls in Belt B as the main line of resistance, and providing overlapping fields of fire. I will also hedge my bets with bazooka teams in ambush positions in depth in case the armour breaks through. As usual, I'll place the mortars to the rear, firing at targets of opportunity from the edge of the lightly wooded area in Belt C. The advantage of this plan is that it gives me the best chance of an early victory over German armour. The disadvantage is that the outpost is exposed to flanking fire and to being overrun by infantry. Once the armour is dealt with, I will be reliant on the fire from the automatic weapons in the outpost and main battle position to defeat any infantry attacks. The occupation of the battle position is ordinarily covered by a completely organised outpost. The outpost is usually strong in machine guns and provided with anti-tank weapons. So far as practicable, they control the intervals by provision for the development of a powerful volume of flanking fire from automatic weapons. I will now move my troops into position and execute the plan in real time. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the various courses of action and if you've identified a viable alternative. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content. And so we begin. 2 tanks. The front 57mm gun targets the mortar carrier. Destroyed! The rear 57mm gun targets the Mark IV tank. The Panther is not in line of sight. A machine gun opens up. A shot at the Mark IV misses. Hit! The second shot hits and destroys the Mark IV. Both mortars open fire missions on Sturmgrenadier squads in the open. The Panther engages the rear anti-tank gun with machine gun fire. The gun returns the compliment, but it can't get the shot. The front anti-tank gun locates and targets the enemy Granatwerfer squad to the south. The main battle position remains concealed. The rear anti-tank gun now gets line of sight on the Panther, but it doesn't take the shot. More infantry are advancing along the stone wall. Mortar fire shifts. The medium machine gun opens up. The rear assault squad opens up on a Flammenwerfer squad crossing the open field. The rear anti-tank gun fires at the Panther and misses. The front gun doesn't quite have a shot. It traverses. I'm hoping for a rear aspect shot on the Panther. The front assault squad defends against the attacking Aufklärer. I adjust the mortar rounds closer in to break up the German assault. Yes! The rear anti-tank gun gets a rear aspect shot on the Panther and destroys it. Outstanding work. This is what I could not do despite multiple attempts at the landing zone. All enemy armour destroyed and my main objective achieved. The enemy still have a strong infantry assault underway and my glider assault forces take their first casualty. An MG42 squad suddenly appears in the outpost. Everyone targets it. A second Aufklärer squad is also destroyed.
Under heavy fire.
The rear anti-tank gun doesn't have a target and goes to ground. The last member of the MG42 squad surrenders. The main battle position is unable to provide effective flanking fire.
Under heavy fire.
I concentrate the mortar fire missions in front of the farmhouse. The machine gun on my right flank doesn't have line of fire either. I move them forward to a better firing location in the trench line. The anti-tank gun and machine gun both take casualties, and it is time to bring up the rear assault squad. The forward assault squad also takes a casualty while fending off the Sturmgrenadier. I also move up Lieutenant Tio's BAR squad from 2nd Platoon.
Don't shoot!
Someone in the front line has had enough.
Team down! No ammo!
Then the dreaded Flammenwerfer opens up. The front anti-tank gun is eliminated. More flame. Heavy hand-to-hand fighting.
Don't shoot! Conserve ammunition. No ammo!
The mortars are rounds complete and have no more ammunition.
Team redeployed. Team redeployed.
The 30 caliber machine gun to the south opens up. 2nd Platoon's rifle squad under Corporal Leach moves into the farmland to attack the mortar. Sergeant Baker's rifle squad moves forward to replace them in the trench line.
Secure the area! Target neutralized.
1st Platoon's BAR squad under Lieutenant Tio halts the German advance at the farmhouse.
Target neutralized.
Then they eliminate the German sharpshoots. Meanwhile, 2nd Platoon's 2nd BAR squad under PFC Dickerson advances towards the farmhouse to outflank the German attack. As intended, the outpost has borne the brunt of the German attack, but the squads there have been entirely eliminated. TO's BAR squad targets Sturmgrenadier on their right flank. The rear anti-tank gun also has the target. First Platoon's BAR squad under Corporal Murphy moves up to the outpost to support their company commander. TO's squad assaults forward to recapture the farmhouse.
Conserve ammunition. Secure the area.
Nimm deine Waffe.
The Sonderkraftfahrzeug cooks off as the flames heat up the mortar rounds. This was a Schützenpanzerwagen Granatwerfer, or mortar variant armoured personnel carrier.
Area secured. Can't go there.
Herr Oberst!
More vicious hand-to-hand combat between elite troops.
Team redeployed. We're under heavy fire.
Incoming!
Team redeployed.
The 30 caliber has moved into the tree line and targets German troops in the open. Sergeant Baker's rifle squad moves forward to support.
Team redeployed.
Dickerson's BAR squad has reached the stone wall and helps push the Germans back from the farmhouse.
Nailed him.
The Flammenwerfer squad is eliminated, to great relief.
Down.
The battle ended because the Germans were routed from the map. The Allies gained control of the area and will advance. The Germans took excessive losses. I have made Allied progress of 40 against expected progress of 40 by the end of the day. I suffered 20 KIA and inflicted 34 KIA on the enemy, 3 surrendered, 2 tanks and an armoured vehicle destroyed. The fighting sees 2 Bronze Stars and a Combat Infantryman's Badge awarded. I select a 1-hour ceasefire period. Let's examine casualties on both sides. First, the Americans. Both assault squads bore the brunt of the fighting in the outpost and suffered heavy casualties. Lieutenant Teo's leadership in the counterattack earns him the Combat Infantryman's Badge and the acclaim of his company. The remainder of the company is largely unscathed. Lance Corporal Niad and Harvey on the 57mm took out 2 tanks and are each awarded a Bronze Star. Well done. Corporal Hunter's team took out the mortar carrier but was sadly wiped out in the German attack. Lots of bravery, but no medals, only Purple Hearts. Seems unfair. And the medium machine gun took heavy casualties. Then the Germans. Heavy casualties across 4 Sturmgrenadier squads and the Schützen. Sturmmann Eismann earns an assault badge. The MG42 was eliminated, as were 2 Aufklärer squads and the Scharfschütz. The Panther, Mark IV and Sonderkraftfahrzeug were knocked out, as were the Flammenwerfer and Panzerschreck squads. No one was credited for destruction of my anti-tank gun, but my money is on Eismann. So, what did we learn? The outpost strategy worked. The Doctrine recommends that the outpost is strong in machine guns and provided with anti-tank weapons. As a result, all 3 armoured vehicles were destroyed within the first 3 minutes of the battle. Destruction of enemy armour was my main objective, and their destruction set the conditions for the counterattack to retake the landing zone. Once again, applying the historical doctrine works. However, the statistics show that the glider assault infantry suffered, but did not contribute as much to the defence of the outpost as I would have expected. 9 dead and 2 seriously wounded, for only 6 enemy casualties, with the loss of our anti-tank gun and medium machine gun. Overall, I'm not happy with the heavy casualties amongst the squads in the outpost. All my casualties were in the battle for the outpost. Yes, they achieved their mission, but at quite a cost. I'm not sure what I could have done differently to achieve the mission with fewer casualties. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and donate, and stay tuned for the next episode.